Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Please hit the like, subscribe and share. So it's just a quick little update on some breaking news today. January the 6th, 2025. Finally, Justin Trudeau resigns as your Canadian Prime Minister. It's about time, in my opinion. It's been coming for a long time. I'm surprised he's managed to stay in power for as long as he has. So let's just have a quick look, dig into this news report. And see what's happening. The closed captions. Here we go.
Justin Trudeau has announced he's stepping down as the Prime Minister of Canada and as the leader of his party. He's been in office for 9 years. He also announced the temporary suspension of Parliament. Mr. Trudeau has been under pressure to resign for months, with more than 20 fellow members of his Liberal Party publicly urging him to go. Well, here he is making his announcement on the steps of the Prime Ministerial residence in Ottawa.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Let's go now to our North America correspondent, Neda Tawfik. Neda, hello again. We watched that statement by Justin Trudeau a little earlier. Tell us more about what he had to say.
Well, Justin Trudeau said that he had discussed with his family his future. He described himself as a fighter numerous times, but as we heard there in his statement, he ultimately decided that given the internal battles within his own party, more than a dozen members of parliament calling on him to resign, that he decided he could not be the best option in the upcoming election. He said Canadians deserved a real choice. And he said that he would prorogue Parliament, so suspend Parliament until March, which would really stave off a kind of no confidence vote in the government for some time. But Justin Trudeau, after 9 years in office and after for months really signaling that he would push on and stay on as the leader of the Liberal Party, despite polling that showed very unfavorable ratings. Finally, he has decided that the internal battles are just too much for him to fight against. And it really came after his deputy prime minister and finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, suddenly resigned in mid-December, citing sharp criticism of Justin Trudeau and his handling of Donald Trump's threats of steep tariffs. So after the winter break, we now have the answer: Justin Trudeau deciding he will step down as soon as the Liberal Party chooses a successor.
What's next for Canada then, Neda?
Well, now we are going to see a very intense battle now for the leadership of the Liberal Party. There are already several names being circulated about who could go on to replace Justin Trudeau as leader of the party. But aside from that, Liberals are down in polling against the rival Conservative Party. And elections need to be held on or before October 20th. We could see a no confidence vote in Parliament once it gets back in session in March. So a lot that Canada is going to be facing in the next few months as Canadians face a housing crisis, rising costs, and the threat of even more economic trouble with its relations with the United States.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Neda.
So there we are. Finally, he's decided that it's time to go. I think since Donald Trump got elected, a lot of people are starting to question their future in politics. Calling him the governor of Canada was quite funny. But let's go back a couple of weeks and see where this started. So let's go back 3 weeks, around the time just after the election. And I think this is the kind of stuff that really finished him.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has raised eyebrows after presenting a bizarre speech in which he scolded American voters for failing to elect their first female president.
Now, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
Online commentators blasted the Prime Minister, with this person saying, Justin Trudeau is mad the US didn't elect a woman and declares he's a proud feminist. Male feminists are the absolute worst. And this commentator slammed him, saying, big mouth. Justin Trudeau's embarrassment tour continues as he refuses to stay in his lane, chastising and interfering in US politics for not electing a female president, calling it an attack on women's rights. Maybe he should resign since he's not a woman. Author Gad Saad doubled down on this, saying, I have explained this on countless occasions, but let me repeat it here. Justin Trudeau is a walking manifestation of every idea pathogen that I cover in The Parasitic Mind. It would take generations to undo the harm that he has done to our beautiful country. Elon Musk agreed, replying to Saad, saying, he's such an insufferable tool. Won't be in power for much longer. The embarrassing speech comes after a tough few weeks for Trudeau. The Prime Minister has been continuously humiliated by Donald Trump after the President-elect threatened to impose tariffs on Canada unless they stop the flow of illegals and drugs into the United States.
And tonight we're getting some new details about that Trump-Trudeau dinner from two people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor.
More on that detail in the panel. Peter, thank you.
Trump then created a running joke saying Canada should become the 51st state if they are unable to afford the tariffs, now referring to him as the governor of the great state of Canada. But it seems the tide is turning in Trudeau's own country, with a recent poll indicating Donald Trump is more favoured than Trudeau in Canada.
Just on Trump, and a new poll has recently revealed that Canadians seem to approve of Trump over their Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. Can you explain this polling data to us?
I mean, let's be honest, Canada is a mess. Whenever there's a story about Canada, it's almost never good. It seems like every night or several times a week, I'm looking at, I mean, it looks like the Gaza Strip there. There's violence, there's extremism. It's an example of what happens when the leader of a country is a left-wing extremist. And you compare that to Donald Trump's record, and it's much better. Just this week, there was a major international event where they were essentially rededicating the Notre Dame because it had been refurbished after the big fire. And Donald Trump showed up there. And this might be subjective, but really the way that he was interacting with the heads of state, it made me feel almost like America was back. And you contrast that with some of the left-wing leaders, Trudeau and even Joe Biden, and there really just isn't that same international reception.
Canadian psychologist and commentator Jordan Peterson also weighed in, slamming Trudeau.
Trudeau is so spectacularly incompetent that there's endless discoveries of corruption and idiocy to be unveiled. And I'm afraid for Pierre Poilievre that he's going to be left with a terrible mess.
Yeah, they're all seem to be
Canadian Prime
They
Minister
all seem to
Justin
be
Trudeau has raised eyebrows after presenting a bizarre speech in
It's so annoying. I've got YouTube Premium. I shouldn't be getting ads, but it's because I've got 2 channels. So sorry about that, guys.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has raised eyebrows after presenting a bizarre
definitely not
speech.
getting 2 YouTube Premium subscriptions. So that was a few weeks ago. Sky News bringing a few things to light, and then we've got some recent stuff. While Justin was off on holiday.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau faced public backlash during a recent vacation in British Columbia. While dining at a local restaurant, a fellow patron discreetly displayed an image of the Prime Minister in blackface, and folk singers performed anti-Trudeau songs, adding to the tension. Later at a mountain resort, a woman confronted the Canadian leader, telling him to get out. These incidents reflect the public's growing frustration with the Prime Minister amid rising inflation and political challenges. Our next report brings you more.
Justin Trudeau, once heralded as Canada's golden boy, now finds himself drowning in a sea of public contempt. The Canadian Prime Minister's popularity, already at an all-time low, plummeted further during his recent trip to British Columbia, where he faced open hostility from locals and tourists alike. Trudeau, on a winter vacation at the Red Mountain Resort in Rossland in British Columbia, was brutally heckled by a disgruntled resident. In a now viral clip, the woman confronted Trudeau in the resort's parking lot, sarcastically greeting him before bluntly telling him to get out of BC.
Mr. Prime Minister, please get the BC.
Have a wonderful day, madam.
Yeah, you suck.
The Prime Minister responded with forced politeness, saying, "Have a beautiful day, ma'am," as the woman fired back with, "Yeah, you suck."
Yeah, you suck. Mr. Prime Minister, please get the BC.
Have a wonderful day, madam.
Yeah, you suck.
The encounter sparked a social media storm, with many praising the woman for voicing public frustration. One ex-user proclaimed, "She speaks for all of us." Another controversial moment occurred at a local restaurant where Trudeau was dining. A diner discreetly displayed a smartphone showing the infamous image of Trudeau in blackface and then panned to reveal the Prime Minister seated nearby. The subtle yet pointed gesture captured the growing disdain for Trudeau's tarnished image. Adding to the humiliation, folk singers at the same restaurant performed anti-Trudeau songs. Lyrics such as "Hey, hey, Trudeau, you know it's time to go," echoed the sentiment of countless Canadians demanding his resignation. Trudeau's visit comes at a time when his leadership is under intense scrutiny. Rising inflation and skyrocketing living costs have left Canadians struggling, while the Prime Minister appears to be tone deaf to their plight. Critics argue that Trudeau prioritizes personal vacations over addressing the nation's crisis.
The Prime Minister has lost the confidence of Canadians, lost the confidence of many of his MPs, and no wonder, because after 9 years, this Prime Minister has broken everything. He's broken our borders, broken immigration, broken housing, and broken the budget. So, when will the Prime Minister just stop? Stop breaking things.
The Prime Minister has failed. For New Democrats, it's always workers first and not CEOs. And not CEOs who the Conservatives want to defend. So will the Prime Minister acknowledge he has failed? He has to quit.
Adding fuel to the fire, US President-elect Donald Trump ridiculed Trudeau on multiple occasions. In a series of Truth Social posts, Trump mocked the PM, calling him a governor and suggesting Canada might benefit from becoming America's 51st state. Trump's jabs, though intended as satire, highlighted the growing dissatisfaction with Trudeau's leadership. Trudeau's decline is a stark contrast to his earlier days as a charismatic leader, promising hope and progress. Today, he's viewed as out of touch and incapable of addressing the challenges faced by his country.
Mr. Prime
And
Minister.
his recent interactions in British Columbia reflect a broader
Please get
trend.
the
Canadians are fed up.
Wonderful day, man.
Yeah, you suck.
So there we go. Mr. Trudeau is on his way out. Their parliament is in some sort of limbo now until March. And I guess they'll have an election, which would be interesting. I just wanted to make sure there was no other... I'm a little bit unorganised today because I didn't have a lot of time. In the future, I do plan on putting these things together a bit better. But it's been a bit of a rush. I just want to get this stuff out. It seems like a lot's going on. It seems like everyone's running a bit scared. Obviously, we've had January 6th, the inauguration's coming up, and people just running scared at the moment. All these politicians, it's quite funny. So yeah, Trudeau's on his way out. Keep an eye on that. I think it's a good thing for Canada. The guy's been an absolute disaster. So let's see what happens. Keep an eye on this space. All right, guys, join me for the next one. Again, little bit rushed, but I just want to cover this one as well. Quick talk about the Elon Musk Keir Starmer beef, and Musk wanting to make Britain great again. It's interesting, Elon's now got his eyes on the UK, and I like it. Even our politicians now are starting to run like rats. So it's fantastic. So yeah, join me in a little while. We'll have a look at a couple of what's been going on, to catch up on the beef, what it's about, where it's going, and just another little story we'll keep our eyes on over here. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and all of that kind of stuff, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.